Hello, good evening and welcome to the news at 7 on NTA International. I'm Chimobi Walter Naji. Here are the headlines. Government intensifies efforts in taking Almajiri children off streets and give them quality education. Key players in Nigeria's internal security converge on Ilesha, Osun State, to exchange ideas on best way to tackle challenges. Plateau State government takes proactive measure towards strengthening Now the rest of the news. Troops of Operation Adti-banditry have neutralized no fewer than 100 unrepentant bandits, including 6 of their commanders in Anka, Bokyom, Maru and Jibia local government areas of Zamfara and Katsina State. A statement signed by the acting force information officer of the operation, Captain Ayobami Oniyeson, says the operation was embarked upon as a result of the recent upsurge in the activities of the bandits who refuse to embrace the peace initiative of Zamfara state government. The operation, which took place in the affected areas from 16th December 2019 to 9th January 2020, rescued 10 persons held captive by the bandits. 900 rustled cows and sheep recovered. Also recovered were 23 motorbikes and assorted weapons, including 15 AK-47 rifles, 4 general-purpose machine guns, 1 rocket-propelled grenade bomb, and 500 rounds of 7.62 mm special ammunitions. Meanwhile, the troops of the Operation Adti-banditry is in collaboration with the defense forces of the Nigerian Republic have apprehended a suspected high-profile gun runner who is allegedly responsible for the inflow of arms and ammunition in the region. Now, the plight of the Almajiri children in northern Nigeria is receiving attention of key players in humanitarian services. Joshua Ojito reports that the wife of Kebbi State Governor Aisha Atiku Bagudu is leading the advocacy to take 20,000 Almajiri children out of the streets and give them quality education.
From different parts of the country and beyond, key players in humanitarian service all converge on Abuja to raise support towards addressing plight of the Almajiri children and give them equal opportunities in the society. Joined in the advocacy is the wife of the Vice President, Dolapo Oshimbajo, with the support of other development partners who say access to quality education is a right of every child in the country and the campaign should be supported by all.
Look at his feet. Has he got shoes? Look at his hands. Does he have any food? Look at his mouth. Is it smiling or crying or is it begging? On his body, if only you would look. Does he have clothes or rags or barely a covering? Look into his mind. Has he had an education or not?
Do not forget to clothe a child. Do not forget to give a child a shelter, and also do not forget to adopt a child.
Since the initiative was introduced 10 years ago by the wife of Kebbi State Governor Aisha Atiku Bagudu, thousands of Almajiri children and other less privileged in Kebbi State are said to have benefited from mass literacy and empowerment programs that have changed their lives. In Abuja, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Still on issues of security, in line with the mandate of President Muhammadu Buhari to the Ministry of Interior for the total reorganization of Nigeria's internal security strategy, key players in that sector have converged on Ilesha, Osun State, to exchange ideas on the best way to actualize the mandate. Doing Dia now reports.
The safety of lives and property of Nigerians is one of the cardinal points of the next level agenda of the present administration, with a template already designed and presented to the various ministries and departments of government. Achieving this mandate is one aspect that is there to the Interior Ministry, And so, these 2 days ministerial retreat with the theme driving performance in achieving the presidential mandate on Nigeria's internal security is providing the needed platform for the various departments under the Interior Ministry to share ideas.
We should come up with sound ideas on how to tailor our operations in such a way that public confidence in our ministry and its agencies will steeply rise and perception will be on the positive upward swing.
Governor of Osun, Gboyega Oyetola, and other dignitaries agree that a collective effort is required to achieve President Muhammadu Buhari's vision of a safe and prosperous Nigeria.
I therefore urge all the citizens and the residents of Nigeria to cooperate with the security agencies by providing intelligence to them.
I believe it is going to be fruitful for the nation, and people's lives and properties will become more secured.
With the expectations of Nigerians rising on a daily basis for effective and quality service delivery, the outcome of this strategic meeting, organizers say, will address the various issues bothering them. Doing Dia NTA News.
And back in Abuja, on behalf of the Federal Executive Council and all Nigerians, President Muhammadu Buhari warmly felicitates with Senate President Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan on his 65th birthday. The President joins the National Assembly and all members of All Progressives Congress in celebrating the milestone, which has been lined with many years of contributions to Nigeria development, with fruitful years of lawmaking, starting from House of Representatives in 1999. In a release signed by Senior Special Assistant to the President, Media and Publicity Garba Shehu, the President affirms that Lawan's maturity has translated into many achievements of the Ninth Assembly within a short period, including a harmonious relationship with the executive, which recently and historically saw a return to the right budget cycle. President Buhari prays that the Almighty God will continue to guide Lawan to provide strong leadership and grant him longer life and good health. Now, the All Progressives Congress celebrates the President of the Senate and Chairman of the National Assembly, Senator Ahmed Lawan, CFR, on the occasion of his 61st birthday. The party, in a statement, described him as a patriotic Nigerian, diligent and experienced legislator, loyal party man, and a foremost progressive politician with enviable passion for the growth and development of the country. The statement added that in less than 1 year since the current lawmakers were inaugurated, Senator Lawan has definitely molded a Senate where the party in the majority, the APC, has been working harmoniously with minority parties on common issues of national concern. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Northern Governors Forum and Governor of Plateau State, Simon Bako Lalong, on behalf of 19 governors and the entire people of the region, congratulated Senate President Ahmed Ibrahim Lawan on his 61st birthday. Governor Lalong, in a message signed by his Director of Press and Public Affairs, Mahmoud Simon Macham, rejoiced with the Senate President for attaining the age of 61 and contributing immensely to the political development of the nation through his many years of service at the legislature and elsewhere. Governor Lalong also expressed belief that Senator Lawan's leadership of the 9th National Assembly will provide the much-needed win-win synergy that is necessary for a harmonious relationship with the executive and judiciary, which will fast-track in bringing the dividends of democracy to Nigerians. He assured that the Senate President of the continuous support of the Northern Governors Forum and the people of the region, and wishes him good health and God's favor in the years to come. Now, in a bid to strengthen the security architecture in Plateau State and consolidate on the peace that is currently experienced, Plateau State Governor has inspected the ongoing construction of the first neighborhood security watchtower at Dutse at Oku in Jos North local government area. Briefing Governor Lalong on the concept of the neighborhood security watch, the Permanent Secretary, Cabinet and Special Services, Mr. Cornelis Shibuai, said the project is geared at ensuring an early warning system to preempt conflicts and nip them in the bud. He told the governor that the security team headed by the Operation Rainbow will run shifts and use the tower, which is well positioned to observe large parts of the city.
The idea, as you know, Your Excellency, is to see whether we can use this as a model to replicate in some other volatile areas within the state, so that we can have permanent security presence and to solve problems before they get out of hand. So that apart from the security, apart from doing the normal security, we also engage the other people in doing some counseling within the area because of drugs, because of other vices.
Governor Lalong commended the initiative and said it is necessary as the government will continue to make progress in consolidating peace by strengthening the security architecture for efficient and timely response. He also commended the quality of work which is being handled through direct labor using staff of the Ministry of Housing. He warned all trouble because his government will not hesitate to deal decisively with anyone found causing disharmony or beating the drums of war.
I am here to reaffirm our commitment to all of you. Yes, and to also say that peace is very cardinal in Plateau State. Peace is cardinal in Nigeria. All we need to do is this year, let us be #1 in peace in Nigeria. And any other thing can come after that.
Adagwam Izere of Jos, Ada Emmanuel Azik, appreciated the governor for fulfilling his campaign promises by building infrastructure pursuing the path of peace and progress of the state. He promised the continued support of his subjects to the government to enable it to discharge its responsibilities to the citizenry. And to other matters now, a road accident has occurred along Lokoja Abaji Road. The incident happened with an articulated vehicle lost control, caused multiple accidents. Some of officials of the Interior Ministry who were returning from a 2-day retreat were also affected. Although no lives were lost to the incident, but some of the injured were begging for emergency. Now this is the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja. Stay tuned for more news after this timeout.
Hear the call of change, stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerula. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Glad to have you back with us. Now, Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Ovie Omoagege, has said Nigeria's diplomatic missions abroad should do more, like the Nigerian High Commission in Canada, towards catering for citizens' needs and projecting national interests. Speaking during a visit to Canada, where he attended the 25th Biennial Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of the Commonwealth, Senator Ovie Omoagege lauded staff of the Nigerian High Commission in Ottawa, Canada, for being sterling examples for other Nigerian foreign missions. Omoagege equally expressed deep appreciation to Nigeria's acting High Commissioner, Mr. Joseph Atodo, for being sensitive to the needs of Nigerians living in the country and projected the vision and mission of President Muhammadu Buhari's next level agenda. Now, Galilee is one of the foremost regions in Israel. This is because of the history tied to the region, especially during the times of Jesus Christ. Ruth Aguele was on a tour with some pilgrims from Nigeria who had the opportunity to connect to some of these legacies.
People have traveled from far and wide just to come and have a feel of the Benedictine monastery in Tabgha, the place of multiplication. Now, not because of its aesthetic architecture, but because it is said to be the place where Jesus performed miracles when he fed 5,000 people, built in 1982 during the Byzantine era. These pilgrims have also come to pay homage in thirst and hunger for the Word of God. From Tabgha, the pilgrims moved to Capernaum, the town of Jesus, where he spent most of his time performing miracles. The octagonal church was built in 1992 over the ancient houses to preserve the original structures. In the same vicinity is the place of the synagogue, the temple where the teaching of the word started.
And it is because of the synagogue they preserve the teaching of Jesus Christ, and that is what we are into today.
He was sympathetic and even empathetic, healing the sick, and several things he demonstrated in this place.
The next stop was at River Jordan, where Jesus Christ was baptized, and today people are seen from different parts of the world replicating this act.
When we baptize, when we talk to God and we say that we are your son, we are your children. So the new covenants of the believer doing it during the baptism.
And I have faith that whatsoever is my heart desire, as I touch the water of the River Jordan, my case is settled.
And I know my life is changed actually by this visit.
River Jordan is 90 kilometers to the Dead Sea and flows roughly north to south through the Sea of Galilee. From Nazareth, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
It's now time for some foreign news as the troops loyal to Libya warlord Khalifa Haftar pledged to halt the attack on Tripoli but warned of a harsh response if the defense violated the truce. The EU, Russia and Turkey were working to curb the fighting. Under international pressure, the forces led by Libyan General Khalifa Haftar declared a conditional ceasefire in their offensive to take Tripoli from their rivals, the unbacked government of National Accord. A spokesman for the Haftar-led Libyan National Army said the truce went into effect early on Sunday. A group of Iranian protesters have demanded Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei to step down after Tehran said its military mistakenly shot down a Ukrainian plane, killing all 176 people on board. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Saturday the United States is monitoring Iranian demonstrations closely, warning against any new massacre as protests broke out after Tehran admitted to shooting down a passenger plane at a student protest to pay tribute to the crash victims on Saturday. Iranian authorities briefly detained Britain's ambassador in what the British government called a violation of international law. He was later released. And now let's turn our attention to review of some major stories that have made the headlines around the world during outgoing week as Uche brings us World in 6 Days segment.
Hello and welcome to top stories around the world in the past 6 days. First from Britain, where Parliament approved Brexit, ending years of arguments that toppled two governments and divided a nation. Britain will leave European Union by the end of January. The House of Commons erupted in cheers after members of Parliament ratified Prime Minister Boris Johnson's divorce deal with Brussels' 330 votes to 231, drawing a line under an extraordinary era of political drama and chaos. On the U.S.-Iran crisis, Iran carried out a ballistic missile attack on air bases housing U.S. forces in Iraq late Tuesday in retaliation for the killing of General Qasem Soleimani. In a live telecast, President Donald Trump announced that no American nor Iraqi was harmed. Trump said he would impose more economic sanctions on Iran and demanded that U.S. allies leave the nuclear deal so a new pact can be negotiated. In another development, Iran on Saturday admitted unintentionally downing the Ukrainian airplane that crashed shortly after takeoff near Tehran, 3 days after the crash that killed 176 people on board. Canada and the UK had called for a full and thorough investigation into the crash, which different causes were speculated. But Western leaders on Friday said evidence suggested an Iranian missile brought down the passenger plane, possibly in error, as the crash occurred just hours after Iran carried out missile strikes on 2 air bases housing U.S. forces in Iraq. Iran's civil aviation chief, however, countered these suggestions. Meanwhile, the U.S. House of Representatives moved to action by approving a symbolic resolution seeking to limit President Trump's ability to declare war on Iran. The measure passed the Democratic-run chamber 224 against 194. It aims to mandate congressional approval for any conflict with Iran, except in cases of an imminent attack against the U.S. Away from that, Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen secured a second term after her victory in an election dominated by the island's relationship with China. Tsai got 8.2 million votes ahead of her rival. However, in her victory speech, she opposed closer ties with China and advised China to abandon its threat to take back the island by force. Turning attention to Africa, the Ethiopian parliament passed a law to regulate gun ownership to curb increased regional ethnic violence. The new law requires that each region outlines the legal age that one can acquire a gun and also limits the number of guns an individual can have. Defaulters are to be sentenced to 3 years in prison and arms traffickers to face prison terms of 8 to 20 years. And 9 Rwandan nationals who were on trial in a military court in Uganda after being accused of kidnapping and illegal possession of firearms had all charges against them dropped. The move came amid more than a year of strained relations between the two countries. The dropping of the charges appears aimed at easing some of the tensions between the two former allies. That's the world in 6 days. I am Uche Ugochukwu. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Uche, for the update. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has described the death of Sultan Qaboos bin Said Al Said of Oman as a great loss, not only to his country, but also the entire humanity, because of his record as a peacemaker and tireless mediator for peace in the troubled Middle East. In a statement signed by Senior Special Assistant to the President, Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, President Buhari, reacting to the death of the longest reigning ruler in the Middle East on Sunday, said Sultan Qaboos dedicated his life to worthy cause in the promotion of peace for humanity. President Buhari explained that the late Oman ruler had also transformed his once poor country into a modern state, and his record would be remembered for years to come. President Buhari extends his condolences to the government and people of Oman, as well as the family of the deceased, and prayed Allah grant him paradise and reward his good deeds. It's now time to talk sports as Nigeria Football Federation targets grassroots development. Tamara Ebiwe tells us more on Sports Update.